welcome back to the GumLoop's basic course. We are taking a look at building your first workflow with GumLoop. And we are building out this travel app. And so in the last video, we went ahead and we took a look at interfaces. We got the interface for our app built out, and we passed data from the interface to our first function or node. And so if we go back over to what it is that we're building, we'll see that we have the interface, which is going to collect some data and it's going to pass it to various functions. The first one, which was saving it to the Google Sheet database. And the next one that we're going to focus on in this video here is we're going to pass it that data to get the weather for the relevant city on the relevant date. And then we are going to pass it also the relevant city and date to find things to possibly do in that area. And then we're going to take both of those responses from web, and we are going to pass that to an AI to create a synopsis of the weather with a list of possible events and activities that they could do while they're in that city on that date. So let's go ahead and dive back into GumLoop. So now we have save the Google Sheet here with all of the relevant information that we can use at any point in the future. And so now what we want to do is we're going to go over and we are going to start by doing a web search. So if you remember in that last one, what we did, or in an earlier video in the series when we're just kind of looking at the different nodes, we found the web search node. So we're going to go ahead and use that again. Find out what the weather is in location on this date. To get the first one, it's a pretty simple web search, probably going to be the weather app, so it's going to be good enough. So again, we're going to, let's just copy this straight over. And so once you have done this, it's trying to pull that information, but this is not an input, so it can't actually do that, right? And so what we do is we just remove this entire query here, and we'll pass this in, and then we'll say things to do in the city on the date. And for this one here, let's actually pull like 5 results. So this is going to take a little while to search and pull all this data, but it'll pull it all and it'll be able to give all that information back out. So now this, remember, is technically spitting out a list of information. Same with this one here. This is also spitting out a list of results, okay? So think of this as an array, if you're familiar with coding. This is spitting out an array of websites. This is not spitting out the data on the website. So what we still need to do is we need to still do the web agent scraper here. And so, the web scraper here. So we pull this web scraper down, and every time it does this, it's going to use 1 credit to pull this. So maybe you're like, 5 websites worth, that's 5 credits it's going to be doing on top of the web search just to pull the data from 5 websites is going to cost the 2 per website potentially on here, or the base 2 plus 5 more. So that's 7 it's going to use just for this year. So if we Control C, Control V over, just these 2 here is pulling 7. So what I might say is, do I really need to find 5 websites worth of events data? Maybe not. Maybe I'm only doing 3. That'll be fine. And again, it's going to be the top results, right? So the top 1, 2, or 3 results. All right, so the URL that we're going to pull in here would be this URL list, but it's going to automatically turn into a loop mode, okay? So it's pulling all those things. Same thing over here. It's going to pull all the URLs, and it's going to run this web scraper for every single URL that it gives it. So in this case, we're only looking at 1 website, so it's going to pass it 1 time, and although it's running in loop mode, the list is only 1 long. Same thing over here. We're passing 3. the list is 3 long, so it'll run this one 3 times. So that's something you need to remember. Now, this is technically spitting out a list. And so what we have to do is anytime we get lists and we want to pass it to one single thing, is we need to type in list over here. In this one here, we're going to use the join list. So this would take every list item and would combine it into one single thing, into one single text field. And so we do this here, and you can select the list that you want. So it's taking all of the websites that are scraped, all the results from the scraping, and it's going to form it into one single text block. And so you can join the characters. And I like to, for something like this, because this is a large amount of data, what I would probably do is join by new line. So this is kind of how you would think of it as a spreadsheet. Okay. And so for the same thing, we're going to duplicate that over. In this case here, pull that over. We're not going to worry about that. We'll delete that. And we're going to pull this over. And again, we need to merge all of the websites, everything, all the things to do. We need to pull that down. And so this is where we would bring in the AI next. So we go back over here. We now have the weather, and we have it. We found the website for the weather. We have scraped the website, and we have joined all of the list so that we have the data that we need to pass to the AI. Same thing for the things that we want to do. We have searched for websites for things to do in that city at that time. We have scraped each of the 3 websites that we want, and then we have merged all those things into one giant block of text. And now we're going to pass all this information into an AI. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm going to use the Ask AI one. This is the basic one. This is the one that I'm probably going to use most of the time. If you're just asking a simple question, you're passing some data and you want it to be done. You just want a response based on that data. So say prompt, using the, we call it the weather data, and the events and things to do data, create a simple travel report for the requester, in a concise and friendly manner. So if you've ever worked with ChatGPT, this is where you have to start prompting the AI to act and behave in the way that you want. Create a simple travel report for the requester in a short and friendly manner. Use the requester's name and format all this as an email. And then something that I like to do in a scenario like this, it might try to give some exposition to what it creates. What I like to do in something like this, where I'm going to use this as an email body later on automatically, is I'll type in all caps output only the email, body, nothing else. That way it knows, hey, I'm only looking for the email. I don't want any exposition about how you decided to create this email or anything like that, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I basically called out some parameters here, some different variables, let's say, if you're familiar with coding, right? So I'm going to use some curly brackets. So we have weather data. So I'll put that in curly brackets. We have the events and things to do data. So I'll put that in a curly bracket. And then the requester's name. And so it'll say is weather data. And again, this is where we would drag one of these items over, but it's hard to tell which one this is. We have two join list operations here, and they look exactly the same. There's no way to tell really what they are, right? And so what I like to do is would, in this case, I would probably say, here I'd say something like weather data. And in here I'd say things to do data. Okay. And so now I can see weather data is this top one. I'd put things to do data. I'll put that there. And then I'd probably also say like I put requester's name. And for this here, we can take the spreadsheet or we can even just drag it straight from here down. It still needs all these things. So these aren't all happening at the same time. What's happening is so these aren't all happening at the exact same time. It's going to, just because you have this pulled out and moved down to here, it's still waiting on this weather data as well as this thing to do data before it can actually fire this one here. So it needs all of this data to fire this one off. So you don't have to worry about it skipping ahead and doing this one before it gets the web search results or anything like that. So I'm just going to do that there. All right. And then the requester's name, we had it from that first one there. So we'll just say first name, space, last name. All right. So now we're going to get the data. We got all the data and we have formatted into the email body. And so if we go back over here, we have the AI synopsis, the list possible. And so we can stop here for just a second and we can save this. And then we can go ahead and we can actually see what is happening here. So if we go back over to our spreadsheet, we still have nothing in here. In this, these are like the default things while we're testing here. So Miami, Florida, we said 6/13, so on Friday of this week, my name and my email address. It's going to get saved to this Google Sheet. And then it's going to search for the web. It's going to find a couple results for each of these questions. And then it's going to merge all that data and send it to the AI so that it can create the synopsis ready for emailing to that person. And then we will run this and we'll come back after it has scraped all these different websites and searched. All right. And so we're back. And so after it has ran all this, we can see that the email that is spit out is right here in this Ask AI output here. Okay, so let's open this back up and see what it says here. So just want to share some great ideas. If you're planning a trip, Mexico, what? That's obviously an error. Mexico offers some fantastic vacation packages. Obviously, we sent in Miami, Florida on 6/13. So when you see a response like that, what I like to do is I'm going to start all the way up the top here. We're going to look at what were the inputs. Okay, so it did get that. That's weird. All right, so we can see here that obviously something happened. It wasn't quite an error because it was getting the stuff, but for some reason when it went to do the web search, this is here, it found Mexico vacations. So instead of looking for Miami, it pulled obviously the first um, three results. So it didn't fail, but it didn't really work the way as intended. So for something like this, what I'm going to recommend we would do is we could either try the advanced scraper, which is going to add one more credit to it. So it'd be like 13 credits long. We could see if that fixes it. Or we could also try perplexities. scraper, which is going to be about the same cost. So if after turning on the advanced search, I still get a similar response, I'd probably do something like that. And we'll see if just turning on the advanced search helps make it just a little bit better. All right, and so now it is all done. We can see that instead of the 11 credits, it bumped up to 17, did a little bit better on the thing as well, on the final response here that the AI came up with. It still has this little response from AI, so we want to make certain that we got rid of that. But we can see that it's now referencing Miami Gardens in Florida. I'm not certain if Miami Gardens is Miami or if that's technically a different place, so I'd probably research that if this was like a real use case, just to verify that it is pulling up good information. Um, it's given recommendations on popular places. It looks like. If you're into monster trucks, the Truck Jam Studio is going to be there. That's cool. Venues like Orlando Kia Center and Sunrise Merritt Bake Arena in early August. Interesting. Um, the Falls Shopping Center in Miami also offers great shopping for your favorite brands. Yeah, so I mean, it's still using my name. It looks like it's referencing the correct area. This here might not be super great. That might be something that like you could build in some more redundant web scraping and stuff like that in web searches. But I'm going to say that this is good enough for now, especially if this is just like a free little lead capture or whatever. Um, this would probably be fine for most cases. What I'd probably do then is I would want um, this response to be saved to the Google Writer. And by pulling this in here, now it will wait instead of doing it way up here. It will wait until it has this AI model done as well. And we could go down and we could say column, AI response. And now we would be getting the response from that AI. Last node there. And now it would create and update that writer there. So that is how we could do that. Let's go ahead and move this stuff over here just to keep this all kind of nice and clean. Got a bunch of lines crisscrossing all over the place. There we go. Let's go ahead and see if we can't fix this response from AI. So I'd also put like, do not include anything like quotes, response from AI, etc. Um, and then to fix the signature problem down here, what I'd probably say is always include the signature best regards. I probably want this all a new line here. Best regards. Chris Marshall. Um, and then, yeah, I'd save that there. And then this is where, so now we could sit there and we could do, since we got decent data, we could resume and we could resume just from this AI one. That way we're not rerunning the entire flow, using up our credits while we're building it out. This is really just for the testing. And it's going to start exactly from there, rerun just that one prompt. and we can see what the output is. So still got that response from AI, but it included the signature there. So let's see here. Let's double check that that is actually doing that. Okay, so it didn't actually do that. That response from AI must be from whatever. So I'm actually going to get rid of this just so it doesn't get confused. So I always want to make my prompts as short as possible and concise and clear. If there's anything redundant in it, I try to get rid of it unless it's really, really important. But since this is apparently this response from AI is not actually part of the output, it's just part of the UI, and we can verify that because of how it's saved in here. We can see that it did not include response from AI, or else it would be in here response from AI. Since that is not in there, we know that it is not actually outputting that. Um, so we're good to just leave it as is. And we got the signature, it updated correctly, and we can see that here. Having it put the response and stuff like that in something like a spreadsheet, if you have the flexibility and the freedom to do so, this allows you to kind of create like an audit trail, and you can kind of go back and constantly figure out like how good is this agent doing in its current setup. All right, so we are done with this piece here. In this video here, we added in the web searching to find the travel information as well as weather information, and we have fed that to an AI so that it can create a nice little email that we can use later on. We have even ran it all, verified it worked. We did some troubleshooting and some bug shooting. We also took a look at the resume workflow button and learned about that as well. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at passing all this data to an email, and saving it as a draft for us to send later on. So with that, I will see you in the next video.